No, my favorite cards. I wanted to play that card. I would have won if you didn't mill my win con.
I love seeing the cards fly off the deck. I get to see all my cards every game.
About 83% of you guys are not subscribed. Subscribing, clicking that like button, and commenting all help me out a lot in doing what I really want to do. Thank you guys so much for all your support. What is going on, guys? Rogue TCG here bringing another Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG deck profile. This isn't quite TCG yet. It's going to be legal in just a few more weeks, but here is Tearlament Lightsworn. You guys voted for it. I'm responding. It's Tearlament Lightsworn. It's using all the new Lightsworn cards and all the previous Tearlament cards, and honestly, I think it makes a very semi-competent strategy that can end on some pretty insane boards. I did collaborate with another YouTuber to craft this brew. I'm going to pop it up on screen right now. They are Shady TCG. There's going to be a link in the description to their channel. Please go check them out. They did give me a lot of support in making decisions and cutting cards for this deck profile, and I think we came up with a brew that we really like. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the basic overview. Let me go through the card by card, tell you what they all do, and give you my final thoughts. First of all, for our Tearlaments, we are on triple Rhino Heart. If it's normal or special, you can send a Tearlament monster from your deck to the grave except for itself. And if this card is sent to the grave by card effect, you can special summon it but banish it leaves the field. And if I do send a Tearlament card from your hand to the grave, you can use each effect of Rhino Heart once per turn. Frequently, we're not actually normal summoning this. We are special summoning it from the graveyard via the effect of Cross Sheep in order to get more advantage, because this deck is a very non-linear deck. There's really only one main line, which I'll be showing you at the very end. But yeah, Rhino Heart's really good to help send your Tearlaments, and it also functions as mills, since of Tearlament Kashira, we can go Rhino Heart send to your cache in order to mill too. So, Rhino Heart is kind of like a budget Raiden, where you can mill 2 on normal summon or something like that, but it does have the flexibility, and if we do mill it, it is a free level 4 body on field from a pitch of a Tearlament card. Next, for our Tearlaments, we are on Havness. These next 3 will have the exact same secondary effect, so I'm not going to go over it past the first one. When your opponent activates a monster effect on field, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the grave. If this card is sent to the grave by a card effect, all of them will have this effect. You can fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck by placing fusion materials mentioned on it from your hand, field, and or graveyard, including this card from your grave in the bottom of your deck in any order. You can use each of the effect of Havness once per turn. So all of these next 2 Tearlaments are also going to have that fusion effect. We are on 1 Merly. If this card's no more special summoned, you get to send the top 3 from deck to grave, and then it also has that fusion effect when it's sent to grave. And then 1 Sheeran. During the main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, send 1 monster from your hand to the grave, then send the top 3 cards from your deck to the grave, and then it has that fusion effect. So all 3 of these are very, very powerful. The ones that we want to be milling the most is going to be Havness. We want to search Sheeran in order to summon it, and then we can send it to grave off of something like Grief. And then Merly, we are intending to send to grave via Sprite Sprend. Next, for our Tearlaments, we're on triple Tearlament Cashier. During the main phase, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, banish 1 Cashier or 1 Tearlament's card from your hand or grave. If this card is normal or special summon, you can send the top 3 cards of either player's deck to the grave. If this card is sent to the grave by card effect, you can send the top 2 cards of your deck to the grave. So this card's very powerful in being able to be an extender just by banishing any Tearlament card from your grave. Sometimes even opening up routes where we can get back our trap cards from our banishment with Tearlament Grief. So Tearlament Cashier being functionally a mill 5 in the deck, mill 3 from a special summon and mill 2 off of send to graveyard, is very powerful. Only downside is it can't really make any of our fusion monsters, so it's mostly here as a mill/extendering tool. Next, for our honorary Tearlaments, we're on Triple King of the Swamp. This card has come up so frequently in testing, both as a way to search polymerization as well as being any name in graveyard, either being Grapha, Rhino Heart, or Kitkalos. King of the Swamp just fulfills all those rules. Seeing it in our hand is amazing because we can just pitch it to add a poly in order to be able to extend even further beyond than what we were previously able to do. So we are running Triple King of the Swamp, and then the 1 poly, a 3-to-1 Garnet ratio is pretty decent. We're on Triple Primeval Planet Perliano. When it's activated, you can add a Tearlament or a Vsauce from your deck to your hand. Fusions and Tears you control gain 500 attack, and if a tier monster you control or in your grave is shuffled into the deck or extra, you can target one card in the field and destroy it. So very good flexibility, buffing all your creatures, adding a creature when it's activated, as well as popping a card just by doing your basic combos. Really gives this deck some oomph when you're doing your plays. We're on 1 Terraforming to search for Tearlament. This is one of the cards that we were considering cutting, but just to make it a nice clean 50, it is still in here. We're on Triple Scream. If a monster is normal or special, and you control a Tearlament monster or a Vsauce, you can send the top 3 cards of your deck to the grave, and then all monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack until end of turn. And if this card is sent to the grave by a card effect, you can add a Tearlament trap from your deck to your hand. So we're playing 3 of it because it searches our traps, as well as an additional mill card if we do open it. So since we're playing Lightsworn and Tearlament, so you really want to be milling every single opportunity we possibly can be. We are on 1 Tearlament Grease, special summoning Tearlament or a Vsauce from our deck or grave, then sending a card I control to the grave with the same type or attribute as the monster I special summoned. And if this card is sent to the grave by a card effect, you can target a banished Tearlament trap and add it to your hand. Like I was mentioning, we can add a trap back to our hand in a roundabout way. Let's say we mill a Tearlament Meta Noise. We can banish that with Tear Cash in order to mill some cards, and if theoretically we mill Tearlament Grief, we can then add back that banished Meta Noise. We can also add focus send the Tearlament Grief via Foolish Burial Goods, which is here for a multitude of cards. It's here for Scream, it's here for Grief, it's here for Sulliek, but it's also here for Trivi Karma, which allows us to banish this card from our graveyard in order to add a spell or trap that mentions Vsauce. So this can add Tearlament, so it's terraforming from graveyard. It can add Scream. It can add our Sulliek. It adds all of our Tearlament cards functionally, except for our monsters. It only adds our spell traps, but that is more than enough. We are on 1 Foolish Burial just to send any of our Tears or Lightsworns from deck to grave. We're on 1 Meta Noise. If we control a Tearlament or a Vsauce, we can target a face of monster our opponent controls, change it to face down defense position, then send a Tearlament from our deck to grave, functionally acting as a Book of Moon plus a fusion, which is really great. And then we already went, and then if it's sent to the grave by a card effect, you can target a Tearlament monster in your grave and add it to your hand. Very good secondary effect, being able to recycle our Tearlament Kashtiras. So, very powerful card. Well, we are just playing 1 of it because most of the time we are going to be milling it or adding it from deck to hand, and we can recur our traps specifically a lot easier than everything else. We're on double Sulliek. If we control a Tearlament or a Vsauce, we can target an effect monster our opponent controls, negate its effects, and then send a monster we control to the graveyard. And if this card is sent to the grave by a card effect, you can add a Tearlament monster from our deck to the hand, functionally turning Foolish Burial Goods into a reinforcement of the army for any of our Tearlaments, which is quite nice. But that's going to be it for our Tearlaments. Now for our Lightsworns, we're on 1 Judgment Dragon. Can't be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from hand by having 4 or more Lightsworns and monsters in different names in our grave. We can pay 1,000 life points, destroy all other cards on the field, and once per turn during end phase, we mill 4. This is mostly in here to let us access our rank 8s. It's a free search along the way with our best Lightsworn starter, as well as being a situational field nuke that can trigger our Tearlaments. But most of the time it is just a free add off of the Baby Dragon of Lightsworn, so we are just playing the 1 of. We are playing 1 Dragon of Lightsworn. If we have a Lightsworn monster in our grave, we can special summon this card from our hand. If this card is special summoned, we can send a Lightsworn card from our deck to the grave, except for Dragon of Lightsworn. If this card is sent to the grave, we can add 1 Dragon monster with 3,000 attack and 2,600 defense from our deck to the hand. We can use each effective Dragon of Lightsworn once per turn. So this card is 1 card full combo functionally. There's no real full combo in this deck since it's mill-centric, so it's kind of random. However, Dragon of Lightsworn is the 1 card to get us the most potential mills and the most advantage off of just 1 singular card. Next, we are playing 2 Weiss Lightsworn Archfiend. You can place 1 other Lightsworn card from our hand atop the deck, special summon this card from our hand, then send the top 2 cards from our deck to the grave. If this card is sent from deck to grave, you can target 1 Lightsworn monster in our grave, except for Weiss, special summon it. We can always each effective Weiss once per turn. This is part of our basic combo with the Baby Dragon. We need to send this to the graveyard with our Minerva Synchro in order to special summon a card from our grave and keep extending. So we are playing 2 of it, just because we plan on really only activating it twice, 1 in hand potentially, and then 1 in graveyard. And milling too many of them doesn't prove any beneficial effect comparative to milling too many wolves or too many Felluses. Speaking of wolves, we're on triple wolf. Can't be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned by a card effect. If this card is sent from your deck to the grave, special summon it. Very simple. Always going to be Chain Link 1 or Chain Link 2, or depending on how many wolves you have. But it is a mandatory effect to special summon it, so if you mill it and you have too many zones on field taken up, you cannot be special summoning it. And that is a major point of this deck, where a lot of the cards in our deck can just choose to not resolve due to us not planning ahead and really realizing that potentially every time you mill 3, we have the potential to just summon 3 level 4s from our deck to our field. So in order to play this deck optimally, we always have to play for the best case scenario. We are on 1 Fellas, Lightsworn Archer. It's necessary for our Dragon of Lightsworn combo. It is just, it's functionally just Wolf. It must be special summoned by a card effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a monster effect, special summon it. You contribute this card, target a monster your opponent controls, and destroy that target, then mill the top 3. The thing is, this is a level 4 tuner that special summons itself when it's sent from the deck to the grave via a monster effect, turning the Dragon of Lightsworn into a 1-card Synchro 8. Next, we're on 2 Raiden, Hand of the Lightsworn. During our main phase, we can send the top 2 cards of our deck to the grave. Then if any Lightsworn monsters were sent to the grave by this effect, this card gains 200 attack until end of turn. And then your opponent's, at the end of turn, you get to mill 2 cards, and that's both of those are hard once per turn. Raiden is very good. Most of the time, we just want to be bringing it back from grave just to mill an additional 2. It is a tuner, so we can make the Minerva, but overall, it's just kind of a mid card nowadays, to be completely honest. So we are only just playing 2 of it, just because we do want to mill it or bring it back with Cross Sheep. We are playing 1 Lumina. We can always send this to grave whenever we really want to. Once per turn, we can discard 1 card, target a level 4 lower Lightsworn monster in our grave, and special summon it. And once per turn to the end phase, we can send the top 3 cards from our deck to the grave. Just being able to bring back our Lightsworns for link plays, or choose what level Lightsworn we would like to bring back, is very, very powerful. As well as getting rid of potential extenders in our hands, such as Trick Clown or Damage Juggler, in order to get those into rotation by discarding any card, is just really strong. Next, for the best card in the deck, Triple Charge on the Light Brigade, sending the top 3 cards of our deck to the grave and adding our starter from deck to hand, adding the Baby Dragon. This is just undoubtedly the best card in the entire deck. I don't think there's any other better one, like one individual card, except for maybe the Baby Dragon, but this card is just good because it is the copy of Baby Dragon. So we are playing 3 of it, of course. And then lastly, for our Lightsworns, we're on 1 Lightsworn Aegis. This is also searchable with the Baby Dragon if we already have another extender. We can target it's a trap card. Target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of Lightsworn monsters you control. Negate their effects until end of turn. If this card is sent from the deck to the grave, you can set this card. You can only use each effect of Aegis once per turn. This card is incredibly strong. It is face-up card negation. It can stop evenly matched. It can stop Dark Ruler no more. It stops quite a bit. And for the low price of just milling it or doing a focused mill by sending it to the grave via the Dragon of Lightsworn, meaning you have interaction on your field if you leave a Lightsworn up, is just very, very powerful. And if we mill it early in our turn, we can make our board fit a more of a Lightsworn theme in order to get maximum value out of it. Next, we are playing 3 Perform Mages, 1 Damage Juggler, 1 Trick Clown, and 1 Hat Tricker. Damage Juggler in Graveyard lets us banish it to add Perform Mage from deck to hand. Trick Clown, if it's sent, if this card is sent to the grave, target a Perform Mage in our grave, special summon it. Its attack and defense becomes 0, and we take 1,000. You can only use Trick Clown once per turn. They're all level 4, so we can go into any level 4 extenders, making Trick Clown incredibly powerful. Speaking of level 4 extenders, Hat Tricker says if there are 2 or more monsters on the field, just special summon this card, and it does have a neat little effect on it to prevent effect damage 3 times when it's on field. For our last 2 cards in the deck, we're on 1 Instant Fusion, because we are playing a Mud Dragon, so we can cheese it out just for a level 4 extender, as well as providing nice interaction against impermanence or effect failure. And then lastly, 1 Cull by the Grave for the main deck. For the extra, we're on 1 Sprite Sprint, being able to send Tearlament Merly from deck to grave. We're on 1 SP Little Knight, just because it's a format superstar. 1 Cross Sheep to be able to bring back cards, and then 1 Apos, because we can frequently make it in our early boards in order to play around Nibiru. For our XEs, we're on 1 Dweller for all those Graveyard Reliant strategies. 1 Minerva. We typically make this during our turn in order to mill and potentially draw cards. We're on 1 Dingirsu and 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. It's part of our Baby Dragon combo, and we can make it using Minerva plus the Judgment Dragon, although we could also potentially make it using Dragos Depelia or Rukalos if need be. We are on 1 Minerva, Lightsworn Athena. This card is cracked. Let me read it out for you. It needs a tuner and a non-tuner. Lightsworn monsters you control can't be banished by card effects. You can only use each of the following effects of Minerva once per turn. If this card is synchro summoned, you can send Lightsworn monster of the different types from your deck to the graveyard. Up to the number of Lightsworn monsters uses material for this card's summon. And then you can banish 4 Lightsworns from your grave. Send that many cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard. This is Kitkalos at home, except it is better. It's also better than Chaos Ruler, but just for Lightsworns. Because it summons function. It basically says summon up to 2 Lightsworns from your deck on summon, and then banish 4 Lightsworns from your graveyard, 2 from its summon, and 2 from the ones that you sent to grave to mill 4, which is incredibly strong. We are on 1 Madragona Swamp. We can make this theoretically with our Tearlaments and our fusions, such as SP Little Knight. However, this is mostly in here for an instant fusion target. We can also make this with polymerization using any of our Lightsworns, which is quite nice. We are on 1 Dragos Depelia. It needs a fusion and a dark. Once per turn, target face-up monster your opponent controls, put a predator counter on it, and all monster predator counters have that activated effects of themselves negated by Dragos Depelia. And everything with a predator counter is also level 1, which is quite nice. We're on 1 Rukalos, Tearlament special, only being able to make it with King of the Swamp now. Other Aquas you control can't be destroyed by battle, and then it can negate an effect that would special summon a monster, and it also floats, which is quite nice. We're on 1 Kaleido Heart. On summon, it spins, or if an Aqua monster is sent to our graveyard, it also spins. And then if this card is sent to the grave by a card effect, you can special summon it and then send a Tearlament card from your deck to the grave. Meaning Kaleido Heart plus Sulyak is both a spin and a send and a negate, which is quite nice. We are on 1 Grapha Dragon Overlord of Dark World. God damn. We can make it with King of the Swamp plus any Tearlament, and it basically it quote-unquote negates by turning the effect into making us discard a card. It's useful if we have a Tearlament in hand, however, it's mostly there for situational moments. And lastly, 1 Guardian Chimera for that 1 poly in our deck. In our side, we don't have a full side deck, it's just 2 cards conceptually I was thinking of. We have Sanaphon the Sky Prison as another potential rank 8 we can make to lock out graveyard decks as more of a focus thing that we can include in our side, as well as 1 Lina, the Lightsworn Sorceress. Being able to pop back row is quite nice. We can bring it back from grave with Weiss or with Cross Sheep, and it's just kind of modal, so that's the reason it's not in the main deck. It doesn't really do anything when we're going first, but it is a potential option for deck builders at home to be keeping in mind. Now, that's enough yapping. Let me show you that dragon combo, and that's going to be the end of the video. Alrighty, so here is going to be our 2-card combo. We have our baby dragon and any way to get any Lightsworn into grave. So just for the sake of the combo, we're just going to get the worst one into grave, so we're not interrupting anything. We're just going to get a Lumina in grave. The only reason you have to do that is the dragon's effect only triggers when it's special summoned. So we're going to activate the dragon, we're going to special summon it. We're then going to go dragon effect here. We're going to send our Fellas from deck to grave. Now our Fellas is going to trigger. We're going to special summon the Fellas. And then we are going to make our Minerva. Since we have a level 4 tuner and a non-tuner, we get to summon the Minerva. Here we get to also chain block our Minerva. We go Minerva Chainlink 1 and then go Baby Dragon Chainlink 2 to add the Judgment from deck to hand. Keep in mind this is summon number 3. Now we get to send from deck to grave. Unfortunately, we can't completely play around Nibiru since the way these chains work, unfortunately. But here we can send a Weiss and we can send a Raiden. And then we can go Weiss to bring back out the Raiden if we really wanted to. We're just going to do it for the sake of argument, so you have another mill 2 there. Then we have 4 Lightsworns in grave. We can summon the Judgy. Then we can go Minerva. For the sake of the argument, we're not going to be activating anything we mill, but we have 6 mills off of this. We have 4 off Minerva, 2 off Raiden. And you see we got a bunch of cards there. And then lastly, we can make a rank 8 here, being Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. If we chose not to summon the Raiden, the Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord would be summon number 5. But otherwise, the Judgment Dragon is summon number 5. Thank you guys so much for watching. If in the case you still are, again, please take a look at Shady TCG's YouTube channel. They did help me out a lot in boiling down this brew and simplifying it to make it very linear. So big shouts out to them for making this one possible. And I'm going to be seeing y'all later. Bye-bye. About 83% of you guys are not subscribed. Subscribing, clicking that like button, and commenting all help me out a lot in doing what I really want to do. Thank you guys so much for all your support.